ready to go when you are.
Thank you. That's the chairman's call.
It's a lopsided table.
It is. That's a lopsided table. We're listing. I like that. I like that. You're getting the terminology down, Michael.
How about that bankruptcy? That's bizarre.
Yeah. What that's about is.
Oh no, I read it. Those people in the Philippines got even with them.
Oh yeah. We got
I think the union would have better legal smarts. Don't they lawyers that tell them what a line is?
well. What they said. That's what they said. They got it all the way down to 19 million, which we could have easily paid. They want to send a message that we don't.
But it's the fact that they went over.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much.
Good to see you, brother.
That, just so you know, that the local that caused all those problems, they put in their receivership. The main union took them over, kicked all the officers out. There's some dirty stuff going on. No.
So it happens other than New Jersey?
Yes.
So we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And Tracy, you're ready?
Yes. Commissioner Allen? Here. Commissioner Atwater?
Here.
Commissioner Barquette is excused. Commissioner Griffin?
Here?
Commissioner Sawyer?
Here.
Vice Chair Trezza?
Here.
Chair Duffy?
Present.
7 commissioners present. That does constitute a quorum.
Hey.
Six. All right. We're all good. All right. So that gets us to consent calendar. Are there any items on the consent calendar that need to be considered separately today?
Just one thing, item 3D, we're pulling from the calendar. It doesn't need to be on there.
3D is being pulled. Okay.
Okay.
Is that old item 6, is that item 5 about the accounting software?
That's agenda. That'll be,
That'll be agenda. We'll talk
agenda
about that.
item.
yeah.
So
Okay.
only A through G.
All right.
I'll move to approve.
Second. If you give me 1 second, are there any public comments on the consent calendar?
Oh, good job. Good, nice catch.
I'm not sure if that's supposed to be done, but I'm getting a kind of side eye over here, so better. Seeing none, we've got a motion made by Jay. Is that correct, Jay? Yeah. Okay.
By David Atwater.
David. Sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. So that would bring us right down to,
Is D going to be discussed today, or is that for future?
It was previously
Already done.
approved, so it didn't need to be
Okay.
on there, yeah. That was an oversight.
so that gets us to agenda item 5, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
And who do we have presenting for 5?
So Paul O'Keefe is going to present item 5.
Good afternoon. Welcome.
Thank you. So not sure if I'm going to be able to read my own PowerPoint. I should have brought my own copy with me. But this is a quick discussion regarding the new ERP system that's up for approval today. Oh, thank you. There we go. Okay, so just a little bit of background on the current situation. Accounting staff are currently using Microsoft Dynamics Great Plains, or GP 2018, for their current general ledger financial software. The support ended with Microsoft January 10th of this year. Citron Cooper is our third-party system maintenance and support vendor, and we met in June of 2023 during the transition between the outgoing finance director and myself to discuss the the extension or the mainstream support issues with Great Plains. And Citron Cooper recommended that we get a vendor on board immediately to replace our general ledger system, because their support will be ending in 2025. So while they won't leave us without support, they wanted to make that recommendation clear that there is a sense of urgency with this situation. Currently, our capital improvement project budget for fiscal year '24 includes an appropriation of unrestricted cash in the total amount of $350,000, partially for the HRAS system that the Human Resources Department has identified a need for, and $250,000 goes towards the financial software upgrade. So staff have been vetting Tyler Technologies, SaaS, for general ledger, HR, and payroll implementation. And Tyler Technologies has been thoroughly vetted through a nationally solicited, strategically sourced contract with Sourcewell, of which we are a member. So this allows us to expedite the procurement process and forego the RFP, because the RFP has already been conducted through Sourcewell. They were strategically sourced and thoroughly vetted through that process. And we are a member, and that allows us to take advantage of that, of the procurement. So the current state is that port staff rely on several legacy and shadow systems. This is specifically related to the financial system and all of our activities. One of the things that discovered through evaluating Great Plains when I first arrived here is that Great Plains wasn't fully implemented as an ERP system in 2012. So not only are we lacking the functionality that the system would have offered the port, we're lacking in the full implementation of the system as it currently stands. So several layers of additional processes, spreadsheets, a lot of auditing and internal control procedures have been implemented that may have been unnecessary had we fully implemented the system or had a better system to operate our general ledger with. So audit findings have been addressed through the Band-Aid approach. So we've seen procurement audit findings for the last 6 years. And essentially what has happened is each year the auditors go back and review those procurement audit findings and determine, did we correct that particular audit finding, and then in that process find something else. And so with a new system, we can implement best practices and internal controls without taking that Band-Aid approach. And so it eliminates any future audit findings by implementing a new system. Again, in June of 2023, we were made aware of the issue with Great Plains and Microsoft GP with mainstream support. Essentially what that means is they're no longer updating the system. So if a glitch occurs, it's done. If it's broken and Citron Cooper can't fix it, we need to find an additional workaround. So there's no additional support through Microsoft. In the current fiscal year, both accounting and human resources teams have budgeted for separate systems, but because the systems that are currently available now are all-inclusive, and it's a robust system that includes the HR payroll integrated with the general ledger system, it makes more business needs sense to get one ERP system and use them for all of our current needs. So a little bit about the project. Tyler Technologies ERP was vetted by the following staff: accounting, human resources, and the information technology. One of the big concerns was cybersecurity and data usage, and it was thoroughly vetted through several staff with the information technology team, as well as Tyler Technologies information technology staff, and our IT team was very happy with the conversation and the results of their due diligence and how they managed cybersecurity and data storage. Project implementation will incur phases over 18 to 24 months. Essentially, the project begins with the chart of accounts development and importing that into the system, and then the development occurs from there. So to walk through the financial piece of general ledger, accounts payable, accounts receivable, project module, capital projects, contracts, all of those procurement-related modules assisting with that. Then financial modules will be completed from July 2024 through, or excuse me, from January 2024 through January 2025. At the 6-month mark, there will be a concurrent implementation at July of 2024, which will be the human resources HR payroll piece. And that will start the process from July 2024 through July 2025. And then after that will be the project completion piece. We'll have a 6-month period of additional implementation of smaller things like the capital assets. That will be one of the last things to do, as well as utility billing. There is a small utility billing component to this. So the project cost includes a dedicated project manager, which would ensure timeliness of project scope, ensuring we don't go beyond what the statement of work outlines. It includes change management guidance as well. Additional project hours include data conversion and outside remote implementation. So part of the process will have someone on site and then someone will be remote. We will have a full-time project manager that will assist us and guide us through the process regardless of the module or the phases that we're in. They are solely dedicated for us and this particular project, where we may have different project teammates on the Tyler side to assist with the data conversion and the implementation or the uploads. We'll have the one designated project manager that is solely ours for the length of the project. We have also immediate access to vendor website. All staff that are impacted that will be considered an end user will have immediate access to the vendor website. Communities, they have training materials, they have how-to videos. It's basically created for information sharing, which allows staff to get a first look at it, even though they haven't been officially part of the development or implementation. And then the project is expected to begin after the first of the year. Tyler Technologies requires a 45-day project start date, which initiates the conversation after the signing of the contract. So because of the holidays, they're fine with starting it after January 2024 if it's approved today. So some of the project benefits, the key one is resolving internal control deficiencies. There's a significant amount of internal control deficiencies with the way our current systems interact. For example, HR will enter in one section in their system for employee tracking and then send the information to payroll, and then payroll enters the exact same information in. So we're running duplicate systems with different functions that don't talk to one another. So therein lies some additional internal control deficiencies, having to audit on both sides of the house. So we'll address external audit findings through implementing best practices that are built into the system, streamlining the flow of information and data throughout the port, improving reporting capabilities, enhance real-time decision-making. One of the things that I personally am looking forward to is being able to push a button and print a report without having to compile 10 different Excel spreadsheets to get it into a format that's usable for people to read. And I think this is a great improvement, and I know my team they're ecstatic about some of the reporting capabilities. So it's a really key project benefit. Also utilizing an up-to-date ERP. This meets the highest technological standards within the current industry, and they were constantly updating it as technology improves, and they push those out remotely, and it allows us to continue implementing best practices and using the up-to-date current technological standards. And then promoting outstanding customer service for both internal and external customers. The cost. So this is a 3-year contract. Year one-time fees total $573,750. The annual recurring support is $217,000, just slightly over. So years 2 and 3, you'll see the annual recurring support fees. Fiscal 23-24 requires an additional appropriation of $440,836 of unrestricted cash for year 1 of the project. This is essentially because we did not anticipate the need for this funding at this time. When I met with Citron Cooper in June of 2023, essentially we thought we had a few years that we could ramp this up over time and then start looking for a vendor, go through the RFP process. However, with their sense of urgency in this call, it was very clear that we did not have 2 to 3 years down the road to ramp up the funding for that. So that is the need for the additional request. And currently, we spend approximately $225,000 or slightly over in annual maintenance and support for all of our existing systems. So by year 3, we're looking at a $12,000 savings, but the staff time and internal controls, streamlining processes, it's something that you really can't quantify. But this is what we're asking for. And then this is the staff recommendation, is to amend the budget to appropriate the $440,836 of unrestricted cash, and then authorize the port director to execute the contracts. With that, I leave it for questions.
What do you anticipate happens after year 3?
After year 3, we will have migrated off all of those systems. We'll negotiate another 3-year contract for maintenance and support. More than likely, it'll go up 5%. That's typically the standard for technological contracts, is a 5% increase. This is static for the first 3 years. So I anticipate a 3-year contract at a 5% increase for those 3 years. And then possibly some additional savings depending on if we can determine that other systems no longer need to be utilized, and we can move or migrate that into the new system.
So you're taking the 217 and going up 5% is what you're talking about, right?
Yes, that would happen in year 4.
Yes.
So will be cloud-based, no hardware?
That's correct.
Okay. Who besides accounting and HR will do data entry?
There will be some data entry at the department level. One of the things that comes to mind personally for me is the procurement, because we've spent so much time dealing with the findings and reviewing the current process, is that some of that process will be initiated at the department level. So you would have a department person keying the requisition in. It would go through an internal workflow process, go through all of the authorizations based on signature authority, converted to a PO. They can print out their own purchase orders, send it to the vendor directly, and then once they receive the invoice, it will be imported into the system and then submitted. It'll go through another internal workflow process and approval process, and then accounting will receive it, roll it into a batch, and process for payment. So that's just a quick version of where other staff would be involved. But they would have the ability to run reports. They could look at their department budgets. There's a lot of things, a lot of capabilities that the system brings that we don't currently have.
Congratulations.
So the last section you're going to add is capital, your
The
capital
fixed assets piece, yeah.
assets piece
Yeah.
and tracking, and meets all current laws. I don't know, lease, the new capital lease regulations.
We're keeping leasing in port control for the time being. We need to do further analysis of that. So
They have a module available.
they have something, but we don't know if it works for what we need it for. So for leases specifically, it's going to remain in port control, but other miscellaneous billing will move out and into this new system.
The project manager, is that someone from the company or someone from the port?
It's someone from the company. Yes, it's a Tyler employee.
And
That's included in the cost?
Yes.
so like on the project management, if you want to make a report to the commission, you'll have that at your fingertips as a management report, an update?
Hopefully, yes.
A project or several projects?
Yes. So essentially what the project manager is tasked with doing is not only keeping the Tyler team on track, but the port staff on track as well. So that means that we have guidelines that we need to meet and deadlines that we need to meet, and they keep us both in line. So that means weekly meetings, project status reports, continuous updates, if there's recommendations for changes in how we are approaching a certain function within the system, or if there's specific reporting capabilities that we need, they can assist us with either adding that or amending some of the existing canned reports to provide that functionality.
And your presentation answered a lot of questions.
Oh, good,
On
good.
capitalized leases, are you talking about asset and liability? Or we're gonna keep proprietary systems on both till you know?
We currently have Lease Query, which keeps all of our leases in it, in the system, as well as port control for billing purposes.
But it's satisfying the GASB.
Yes, it is.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Thank you.
Steve?
Oh, yeah, thanks. Just a couple of quick questions. I noticed that, so we do our own payroll.
Yes, we do.
Has there been any thoughts about outsourcing that? Would that be cheaper to do that and cut our liability? I don't do my own payroll for my employees because of liability issues.
One of the things that the system gives us the benefit of is streamlining our payroll process. I think our liability with our current payroll process is not because we do it in-house, but because of the labor-intensive and extremely manual efforts needed to ensure that everything is done correctly. The new system allows for automated updates based on MOU changes. You don't have to go into each individual employee to make those changes. So there's a lot of streamlining of that the payroll process itself. So it eliminates a lot of the liability that we have.
Do the employees, modernization, do they by their cell phone?
Yes.
There's no time cards per se, right?
No time cards, it's all electronic. They can either plug it in from their cell phone or from their computer, however they want to enter in their timesheets. It goes through an electronic workflow and then an internal approval process. And so everything is done electronically, so we're not pushing Excel spreadsheets around or miscalculations. It's once the profiles have been set for specific employee groups, then it's done.
Do you have to back something like, so it's in the cloud, right? Do you back it up with a hard drive at any time, or it's that solid?
Yeah, they have redundancies
They have
that,
redundancy?
yeah.
Yeah, you have built-in cloud redundancy. You
Gotcha.
should in your cloud contract have built-in cloud redundancy.
Who administers, are we the minister for our 401k plan, or is someone else the administrator?
Are we the administrator?
We have a record keeper
Yes.
that processes, and keeps track of the money.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as administer, we're the plan sponsor and.
So you guys are the plan sponsors for the 401k? Okay.
Thank you.
Bill?
One last comment. So you'll be updating internal controls as you install each module? So you're gonna have to change them quite a bit, I suppose.
Yes, there will be some, especially in the accounting office, there will be some significant changes in how we do day-to-day business. And it will give us, two advantages. Not only will we be streamlining and eliminating a lot of the Excel workbooks that we use, but we'll also be able to implement best practices that is already built into the system. So some of our internal controls that we've developed over the years, because of the need to check manual work and recheck again, a lot of that will be eliminated because it will be caught within the system.
Yeah, so I got to make the comment here, after being on the audit committee for too many years. It's a pleasure, it is, but we've had a lot of things that the technology didn't allow us to do for those control measures, and then some other additional opportunities for control measures that you have here. I think above and beyond that, the efficiencies that you're going to get from this, because we had a highly manual process, and this is going to streamline a lot of that. Love to see some measurements in that. You said earlier in the presentation, it's hard to measure those things, but there's some good measurements you can do. Start thinking about them now so we can put those into next year. And we can really come back and say, here's where we thought we'd be. We're actually here, right? It gives us a good measuring stick to see how well the project was implemented. Gives us an idea of what we're shooting for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jay?
This is gonna require you to look at your crystal ball. do you anticipate a requirement or a need for change orders through this process?
I think that's more of a procurement question, and that goes to our policies. I think that we are engaged in an endeavor right now to develop some different procurement policies that would include the use of change orders. So barring.
In this
I mean, for
contract?
this project.
Oh, for this contract. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what I don't know. And yeah, so I would say that there could be a possibility of that depending on the need for data conversion assistance. That's where I would really find the need for additional hours of their project team's time. But barring that, I don't foresee any additional change orders.
How many other ports use this software?
Port of Long Beach currently uses it. They just implemented it 6 months ago. They're very happy with that. I know a lot of local other government agencies use the exact same system, so it's very widely recommended. I did reach out to several other ports, but getting that connection with them just wasn't happening, so I'm not familiar with some of the other ones, but I know Port of Long Beach did implement it recently.
You didn't use it in your last job?
I've used Tyler, no, I used Great Plains on my last job. So now that's how I know what Great Plains is capable of and how limited we are in what we actually implemented. So,
Unlimited
Did I say
reward.
that a
well,
lot?
yes.
Great Plains is flawed.
So, but I have used Tyler in the past, yes.
Alan?
Yeah.
How about a training component? Do they pay for training of our staff or?
Training is part of that, yes. So it's built in the project team cost. What they provide is, not only do they have 24/7 access to the Tyler University, which is at staff's leisure, they can go and look up certain process or functionality within the system that provides them either video or step-by-step tutorials, but the training piece is part of it. So essentially what they'll do is you'll receive a training, there's prerequisites that you need to complete once the data is in the test environment. And what happens is you'll get a schedule of all of say we're going to do the AP process. What does that look like from start to finish in the system? So they'll provide you with a PDF document that has specific directions step by step on how to do it. They'll walk you through it, and then they'll have you do it so that they understand, they can see that you know the process, and then you have those training materials. And so there's a lot of things. They go through every box, every checkbox, everything that is within that screen so that you fully understand the functionality of each different tab, of each different data point, and then the reporting piece as well. So it's a very thorough training plan.
Another question, maybe the last one, I don't know. We're kind of going through the same thing. I've been through this a number of times in my business career, but we just started a new ERP here, and actually this price looks pretty good compared to ours. Actually, better. Your implementer, that's a key. Make sure you have the right implementer. How many ports have you done? And then call and say, does everybody like Sarah? Is she a really good implementer or whatever, whoever it is? And, oh yeah, that's the best. You want that one.
Yeah.
Because we've had bad ones where we've had to throw out, after 6 months, had to throw it out and start over again. And that's costly.
Are you talking about the project manager, David?
It's the project manager for the contractor.
Yeah, the minutes they come
Software
on, you
system.
all.
That's a big deal, getting the right person at the helm of the project.
Bill?
My last question.
Wait, you said that 2 questions ago, so it's okay, but.
My old banking came back. Has anyone vetted the financial viability of this company? The provider?
In what way?
Purchasing.
Are they gonna be
group.
around tomorrow?
The
Oh, they've been
purchasing
around for
group.
35 years.
Yeah, the purchasing group does
Yeah.
that. That's part of.
Yeah, they've been around for 35 years.
Doesn't mean anything. Does it?
No, but the group who,
The collective.
they're vetted through the collective.
They're vetted through
I'm sorry.
Sourcewell,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, they went through the full RFP process through Sourcewell. It was a nationwide solicitation.
That's my last question.
Any other questions or discussion?
I move for approval.
A second.
Second.
We have a motion. Public comment?
That's right.
I didn't jump the gun this time, David.
Yeah, I did too.
Is there any public comment on agenda item number 5?
Including anyone who may be on the
Yes.
remotely.
Is there anybody on remotely? No one on remotely? Okay. No public comment, so I will ask for a motion again.
David Atwater moves for approval of item 5.
I'll second that, David.
Steve is seconding. All those in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
congrats.
Thank you, Paula.
Thank you.
You did a good presentation.
That'll be a big lift for your department and for the whole port. That's definitely. All right. Looks like it's time for committee reports. We'll go around the horn, starting with Bill.
None, sir.
Nothing for me.
So it looks like there is no committee reports today. Port Director, comments?
Just a couple things. Thank you for everyone coming in on an off Monday. I appreciate that. Our next meeting will be the first meeting in December, so that'll be December 4th. We won't have the second meeting. And then in January, we'll have the second meeting, not the first meeting of the month. So that'll be January 16th. It's going to be a Tuesday because it's after Martin Luther King. So it's Tuesday, 16th. Christmas party is December 2nd to coincide with the light boat parade out at Lindley House. I did receive a request from the city, and I'm going to steal a little thunder here, that they're accepting applications and will hold interviews for a new commissioner, for Commissioner Allen. They want to have it presented on the 12th of December, so if there's anybody that you have in mind, they have not received too many applications yet, so just putting it out there. Okay?
Are you retiring?
Yeah.
Oh, bummer.
I guess that's the
I
thunder,
guess
huh?
that's, I'll let, yeah, sorry. That's all I have.
That's all you have?
Yes.
If you're to commission comments, it's been a delight to be here for the number of years since I took Attorney Haram's place when he was on the commission. And it's been a great experience, great opportunity. And I appreciate everything working with you, and I appreciate the efforts of staff, everything that's happened over the years. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, but it's time to give someone else the opportunity.
So your term ends on the 15th of January?
I have no idea.
That wasn't a question, I guess. That's what I was, yeah, that's what they told me. That's what the
Okay.
city said. And our January meeting will be January 16th, so.
We'll miss you, Jay.
Miss you guys.
Yeah.
Well, that's one way to kick off commissioner comments. Bill,
Yeah, that is.
start with you. You have any
Oh.
comments?
I'm up for renewal in January. I said I'm gonna throw my hat in. Hopefully they won't kick me to the curb.
Oh,
Comments?
well, I wish you all the luck. I know you'll make it back in. And Jay, I'm sorry to see you leaving. You did a great job. Excellent job. Been great working with you.
I would just bet that Katie's happy to see me go. Seems like every time I've been chairman, we've had some sort of unusual things to deal with.
Complete opposite. Complete opposite. Glad to see you.
Always interesting. That's right. David?
No comments.
Comments.
Okay, well, Jay, surprising. I did not know today was going to be the announcement, but like everyone else, we appreciate everything that you've done, and there's plenty more meetings to celebrate all that. Couple things. I think you saw, I hope everybody saw, that Stockton made a good list, right? It was a few weeks ago. But the interesting thing about that good list that Stockton made is that one of the things that they cited in the list was Stockton has the largest inland port in the state. So not only did Stockton make the good list, but we were evidence of why Stockton made the good list. And I think that's something that
is, yeah.
we should all celebrate in here. It's not often Stockton's image is portrayed in a good manner, but it's being portrayed in a good manner, and one of the reasons is because the jewel in our city, the port, is one of the reasons why they're doing so well. So that's good news. Above and beyond that, our mission to Turkey was was very good. Our partnerships there are very strong, and the players that are involved in the Stockton Soda Ash play are all doing their part to make this happen. I think it allowed us just to solidify what we've been doing in this partnership so far, and to really look out into the future and how we can leverage it into the future. So on my perception was that we did a good deal on getting involved with those folks, and to see the type of industries they're running over there and what they want to do here and the operations. We're very pleased to have them as partners in this. So very profitable and good meeting. And I think that's all I've got. So that moves us to any public comments on non-agenda items.
I have one. So I'm going to try to limit this to 3 minutes, so bear with me. This is a letter from Mary Elizabeth, Delta Sierra Group Conservation Chair of Sierra Club. Has to do with the Trammell Crow Northern California development. We have reviewed the October 23rd draft Trammell Crow Northern California Development Warehousing and Distribution Facility Project Final Environmental Impact Report, and have prepared the following initial comments for your consideration. Under the proposed project, the port would issue a lease to Trammell Crow to construct and conduct operations within the 60-acre portion of the site identified for the warehouse. Trammell Crow would sublease the warehousing facility to a commercial operator for distribution services. First, we'd like to note the vast improvement of the Port of Stockton's public participation process. 3 years ago, there was no video streaming of the Port of Stockton Commissioners' meetings to allow for members of the public to view meetings if they are unable to attend, and now there's a live streaming with an archive available immediately following the meeting. 3 years ago, there was no public final environmental impact report available prior to the approval of the New Star project, even when a public information request was submitted days before consideration by the Port Commissioners, and when comments were submitted on the draft EIR. We received a letter dated October 26, 2023, to notify that the draft EIR was available on the Port's website, and the final EIR will be considered by the Board of Harbor Commissioners at the November 6th, 2023 board meeting scheduled for 3:30 in the Commission Board Meeting Room at the Port of Stockton on 2201 West Washington Street, Stockton. 3 years ago, there was no public outreach other than the dock dispatch and annual reports. Now there's a Port Outreach Committee, which includes members of the public, Port of Stockton commissioners and staff, tenants, and representatives from the state trustee agencies. Questions and comments can be exchanged, and while the meeting is not live streamed, as there have been no in-person meetings, the meeting videos are uploaded after the meeting to the Port of Stockton YouTube site referenced earlier. As the community becomes more educated as to the influence of the port on our local environment, we hope that the port will be willing to do even more to increase transparency and to understand the concerns of the community. The comments on the draft EIR herein are initial comments based on the direction that there were 10 days to review the draft EIR before the Port of Stockton Commissioners' November 6th meeting, and the 307-page length of the draft EIR. The comments herein are in regard to continued significant unavoidable environmental impacts. Additional comments may be submitted in the future prior to consideration of the project by Port of Stockton Commissioners, and the project will not be considered November 6th based on published agenda. The only property under consideration on November 6th is Ferguson Enterprises located at 530 Port of Stockton Expressway, and this is during a closed session. The following includes the locational map for reference and proposed site plan from the draft EIR. Even with the incorporation of the proposed mitigation.
You're at 3 minutes.
I'm at 3 minutes, okay.
Can we can include the whole thing in the minutes, though?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kirk. Okay. Any other public comments? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close today in honor of past Commissioner Paul Fairbrooks. Paul was born in Berlin, Germany on August 21st, 1923, and passed away on October 2nd at the age of 100. Paul and his family left Germany in 1933 to escape the Nazi persecution. The Fairbooks finally settled in New York City. At 18, Paul joined the U.S. Army. He served in military intelligence and was one of the Ritchie boys. Paul helped write the Order of the Battle Book, which outlined the structure and plans of the German army with information that was gathered from interrogating German prisoners. Paul was the director of the auxiliary services at the University of Pacific for more than 20 years. After a varied career in food service, including serving as the Dean of Culinary Institute of America and as an international food service consultant. He also wrote and published several books about food service industry. Paul served on the Port Commission from January 1974 through January 1977. Paul was active with St. Mary's Dining Room. He designed the modern kitchen, which was named after him. Paul will be remembered by his generous spirit, boundless energy, and enthusiasm. He is survived by his beloved wife, Paige, and his daughter, Carolyn, and two sons, John and Bob. He was preceded by his son, Coleman, and daughter, Susan. On behalf of the commissioners, port director, and staff, sincere sympathy and condolences are extended to the family of Paul Fairbooks. The meeting is adjourned.